Welcome back. It's heartbreaking and tragic, but the homelessness rate among Washington County public school system students has risen almost 650% in the past 7 years, up from 116 homeless students during the 2006-07 school year to 740 last year. Carl, why the huge increase and how can we address it?
You know, first of all, I think we need to realize what the numbers are actually telling us, and the numbers are misleading. Homelessness in any case is always sad to see. But the numbers in this case, 80% of the children nationally who are counted on the student homelessness rate live with relatives. So if you have a younger adult child who comes to live with you with a grandchild who's of school age, that child is listed by the government as homeless. And 80% of these kids are listed in that figure. Okay.
So you're saying that it's a political trick by the Democrats to make the numbers worse?
Well, this number's been around. This formula for coming up with this number has been around for ages. So it's not Democrats, it's not Republicans, it's everybody who does that. And of course, we all do it to bump up numbers. It's a national formula. Everyone has to use it. We bump up numbers so we get funding for the social programs that are involved with it. Right. But the number is highly misleading. There's homeless kids out there.
So let me share with you another number that isn't misleading. All right, and that's out of the 20-some thousand Washington County school children we have. Almost 50% qualify for free or reduced lunch. I actually looked this up today on the public schools website. Out of all that, it's a little bit over 9,000 of them are completely free lunch, which means that their family is at about 135% or less of the poverty line. That is heartbreaking.
Yeah, and you know what I do, Jim. I run Toys for Tots, and I see it the last couple of weeks, and we've had over 100 people that are considered homeless sleeping in their cars. There should be no way, nobody should be sleeping in their cars. We got to have something for these people, because it's the one, we back to the past subject of jobs. And I know there's some other circumstances we get with heroin and all that, but I talked to somebody from the school board today, and there's like 496 kids that are considered homeless. And it's a big problem facing that these kids are living on the street. And it doesn't hard to have someone drive down the street and you see people move down their homes or furniture's out there and you got some kid reading a book. And here it is, it's getting cold out. Yeah. It's heartbreaking. And what we see these people walking into my store over at North Point, and you know, I just feel for these people. What can I do more than what I've already done already? So
and you know, bad things happen to good people.
Yeah.
And you know, I think a lot of this may relate back to the economic situation in the county, in that, you know, we do still have, you know, we're trailing behind the rest of the country with our unemployment. And we really need to help uplift those who are unemployed, help uplift those who are, you know, underemployed, and do something to improve the economic status.
So in the meantime, improving the economy, getting more jobs, this is all in the future at some point type of thing. And we go in cycles, we have jobs, we don't have jobs, we have jobs, we don't have jobs. Bottom line is there needs to be a social network there to catch them. And if somebody's homeless, I think we can pretty much assume that the social network is not catching them sufficiently.
And something that really, you know, I find disappointing is that our shelters in this area are not open year round.
No.
They're only open during the winter. You know, okay, sure. It's okay for them to go, you know, live on the streets or live, you know, along the Antietam Creek in the middle of the summer. No, that's not okay. They need a roof over their heads.
That's a nice democratic attitude of yours. I congratulate you.
You know, there's different types of homelessness too. There's temporary homelessness,
Right.
and then there's, you know, chronic homelessness.
But these are kids.
I understand, but as Carl pointed out, the definition is a little skewed.
It's a little skewed,
Sure.
and you can't help the kids without helping the parents in most cases as well, I wouldn't think.
Well, and the other point is, and I don't, you know, the whole homeless shelter thing is I'm glad we have them.
Yes.
But again, are we fixing the problem or are we fixing the symptom?
Just put the Band-Aid on.
You're putting a Band-Aid on it, okay? But, you know, at the same time, you know, so I've had first aid training. okay? There's a reason you put a Band-Aid on it, and that's to stop the bleeding, okay?
But that's all we're doing. We've put a
Sure.
Band-Aid
So then
on
we
for
need to take
for
the
however
next
many
steps,
years.
and we need to then fix the problem.
But the problem
and-
is growing. We're not getting better at it. We're getting worse at it, as
Correct.
indicated by the 650% increase.
And we rank right in the middle of the nation.
Right.
Maryland's 26th in terms of homeless school children.
And I believe our public school system here is doing all they can.
Yes.
I have the utmost faith in our public school
Yeah,
system here.
Absolutely.
And they're doing all they can to keep those kids fed and do the best they can and keep them educated. Because education is the key to me for them when they grow up to be better what they are now.
But how can you get educated? How can you focus? You know, I know when I
tough.
was in school, focusing on my studies was difficult enough, not having to think about where I was going to sleep that night or where my meal was going
Right.
to come from. And the other problem is, you know, you brought up the free and reduced lunches. At some point, kids become self-conscious about that. Now,
Yes.
luckily,
Absolutely.
with these new cards that we have that every student uses to buy
Yes.
their lunch, it probably is less evident that someone is on a free or reduced. But I remember when I was in school, you had the little blue
Blue card.
blue cards, and
Yep.
I remember what's that? Why do you have a blue card? You know, that's
And then,
tough.
unfortunately, when the other kids figured it out, then they'd start picking on it.
Yeah.
behind your back.
Exactly. So again, it's a tough situation.
Now, the county's got some, and they got to fix this. And it's hard fixed, and there's different things they can do. I saw in the news there was one place is actually building a community for people that are homeless. They're building houses, and is it temporary?
We have that. It's called Antietam Street. No,
Oh,
But is that the fix? Because you don't want these people staying there because you want to train them, get job training, and put them back in the community where they're
that's
productive
the,
citizens.
That's the symptom versus
Yeah.
problem.
right. We need
Concern
to treat
that I
the
have.
problem, not just the
And there are a
symptom.
lot of minds that work on this. I know that through the United Way, there was that process called SKIP.
Yep.
Strategic
Homelessness-
Community Initiative,
Yep.
something. And there were a lot of people, and I think that was one of the things they looked at. And it's just
Homelessness
not
is
an
one of the hardest
easy problem.
problems across the nation to solve.
And the reality is, as we've talked about on this panel before, as a community, we do a really good job, and we actually get imported homeless people from other parts of Maryland and West Virginia and Pennsylvania because we have the services.
Right.
And we give them more. So we actually import these people into our community. And if we could import them and break the cycle, I'd be perfectly okay with that.
too.
The problem is we're importing them and then we're dying by the numbers. So, but I'm going to take the last word on that. Stay tuned because our new panelist, Jim Mills, will lead a discussion about the upcoming food bank downsizing and layoffs. All of that when we return in 3 minutes. Stay tuned.